Hey guys, welcome to our show. This is a special episode. What I'm trying to do is kind of get something fun for you guys and reflect back and give you guys some backgrounds on what we're doing, why we're doing these. And Chris has this idea tonight and he wants to talk to you guys about it. So, Chris, I'll let you lead the way.
Yep, sounds good. Looking forward to this one. So before we kick off this series, the Your Magical Learning podcast with Chris Sears, I'm Chris Sears, and my podcast co-host, Trieu Nguyen, I wanted to give just an overview of how we got to where we got to today, right? Like this is an incredible journey that we're both really proud of. We've put a ton of time and energy into it, even though it, as you'll learn, we call it the art of running downhill or Beaver Must Dam activities. It doesn't really feel like work. It's always felt like play, but technically we've been doing this for almost 4 years now, and we have a ton of content to share with you all, not because we've been trying to get famous or something like that. We've been doing this because we wanted to learn and grow, and we've just been recording it all along the way. So this is really documenting our journey together for the most part of us learning, growing, and exploring the world.
Yeah, I guess we can start with the question. Is YOML and how did it start?
Right. So exactly, what is YOML? At its most basic, YOML, Your Magical Learning, we say YOML, is actually the original goal was 365 books, to read 365 books and to write 365 reflections and then share it with Trieu. That was my goal. I like to read, I like to write, like learning's a really important thing. It's something that's a core value of both Trieu and I. In September of 2021, I approached Trieu with this idea after we'd been, meeting every night for about a year and a half up to that point in time. And I'd been reading so many damn books and they'd been stacking up and up and up. You'll learn about something called ClubAny on this journey as well, which ClubAny is I don't want to confuse everybody yet. We'll get to the ClubAny portion of all this, but one of the things that we do for ClubAny is a monthly challenge. So every month we kick off a new challenge. And in September of 2021, I decided I wanted to make my monthly challenge. I've been reading all these books and I have all this knowledge in my head and all these things that I want to talk about. And I'm starting to forget a lot of it. So I wanted to capture it in some format. So I made the commitment to try to write a reflection just off of what I learned from some of the books that I'd already read and try to do that one a day for the month of September. And I did, right? It was a ton of fun. I was having a great time. I was enjoying it. I think I only missed maybe 1 or 2 days the entire month. And that's the whole point of the monthly challenges is see if you can build a habit, see if you can make it stick, see if you can find something that you absolutely love. And shocker, I found something I absolutely loved. So I kept going with it after the monthly challenge was over. And it was about maybe 2 months in after that point in time where Trieu and I would be meeting every single night like we always had for the past year and a half before that. And I kept wanting to tell him about what I just read. I was like, I just wrote about that today.
You got great ideas you got to share, right? So you couldn't wait because a lot of times you would write it in the morning and we probably meet like 5:30
right
in the afternoon. And so a lot of times you come to me and say, I've been waiting all day to tell you this. So it's really fun to kind of get to see how the thought process is running. And then, to me, it's where the fun part comes in. You have a lot of ideas and I sometimes agree with you and sometimes I just shoot it down for the fun of it. And I think from that interaction, we learn a lot from the reflection, but also for ourselves as far as how we approach and take our stand on certain topics. Like yesterday, we're talking about, the outsider insider, and you knew exactly that I would never ever gonna be an outsider insider. I have to be an outsider, and you are 10 billion% right on that. And I think that's kind of give us that, I guess, an insight in terms of not only what we knew of the world, but also what we knew of ourselves.
Exactly. Like discovering who we are and beavering on purpose, as we say so many times throughout this entire journey, which you'll learn.
Beaver must dam, right? This is one of the my favorite saying. I probably overdo it, but to drive the point home, you gotta be who you gotta be. You can't be someone else. Right. Someone else is taken.
So these are all fun phrases that you'll hear throughout this whole journey that Trieu and I have concocted together. We actually started to call them Trieuisms. At a certain point in time, I started capturing them and writing them down in a little Slack channel that we were keeping. But back to the story of how we even got to where we got to. So I started writing these things and I was just so excited to share with anybody about it because I was really enjoying the process. And I kept basically begging you every night when we were meeting. I was like, hey, can I just tell you? And you're like, yeah, sure. Why not? Go for it. So we set out initially to say, all right, we'll carve out the first 15 minutes of our hour every night chat to like let Chris tell me about the reflection. We'll talk about it for a little bit, share some thoughts, and then we'll move on to other things that we were working on. And we were like, that sounds great. Yeah, let's do that. So I started sharing these with you, and we had a great time and a good conversation. And it became a regular part of our nightly 7th generation committee meeting that we call it.
It eventually overtake the whole meeting, and we started doing YOML, and then we just ended it because we went overtime a lot. Because a lot of time, in the beginning was only the first 15 minutes talking about quote unquote YOML.
Right.
And then we talk about the 45 minutes after that, we're talking about the 7th generation committee on the ClubAny side. But eventually YOML just basically takes everything.
It just absorbed it all, and it became what we ended up after about maybe 40 or 50 episodes. I feel like it just started becoming, well, we're just doing YOML tonight, and we just kept doing it and doing it. As the days turned into weeks, turned into months, turned into years, I kept writing and reading and learning. I kept sharing with Trieu. Trieu kept helping us both to refine ideas and craft it. And we both learned about ourselves and each other and what we were trying to do and how we were trying to create meaningful work and meaningful relationships in our own life, which is another buzzword that we talk about a lot. And ultimately, it helped us to further refine our joint mission of what we've been working on together since the beginning, which is something that we call ClubAny. And ClubAny is 2 words, club and company together. This is our beautiful idea question, basically, that we have this theory that if you just let people beaver on purpose, right, and get out of their way and help them to figure out who they are, and then help them to do that on purpose, whatever they want to do in a supported environment where they can still have meaningful relationships around them, but also let them go find their own meaningful work that aligns to who they are and what they want to do, and give them a salary to go do that. That is our mission eventually, to support people to do that. Basically, give them money to go do whatever the hell they want to go do, and then whatever they create, that feeds into the overall organization at the end of the day. So that's what ClubAny's mission is ultimately, and how we're trying to share that with the world and share what we've learned through this whole entire journey. So this intro is in a lot of ways our introduction to not just YOML, but to ClubAny and to all the other things we hope to do. My goal, I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but my goal with posting these now, because we haven't really been sharing these, it's been almost 4 years and we haven't really shared any of these. We have a library of almost 500 episodes. I think we're on like episode 495, 494. So what
Mine
are the
is
2?
one because we reserve one for
Snow,
for our special friend Snow.
Every once in a while we have guests that pop on that are other ClubAny members that chime in from now here every now and then, but most of the time it's just Trieu and I. But yeah, I mean, eventually, now that we're sharing these, I would love for us, if this ever became something that people actually cared about, which I think they will. I mean, I think this is an amazing, incredible journey, honestly.
I think the premise of ClubAny is to enjoy life. I mean, that's the way I see it. Is, what do we need to do to enjoy life? And to each of us, we have our unique distinction on what that is. But the premise of ClubAny is the same for everybody. You find your core values, and we'll help you figure out what that is. And you go find them, and then when you find them, you do the things that makes you happy, right? You enjoy the effort of the activities, and that effort activity is going to give you joy, but also produces value to other people. And so that's the quote unquote the premise and tenet of what ClubAny is about. And so that ClubAny, basically, it's the umbrella for all of the YOML that we're doing today, all of the future projects and businesses or whatever that is going to go under the ClubAny umbrella. And that's why we talk about ClubAny, but right now, I guess the focus that we're doing right now is YOML.
Right, exactly. So the goal would be, by sharing this with people, to generate enough revenue where we can generate $70,000. And every $70,000 that we generate, we're going to give a scholarship to a new club member where we will pay them with no strings attached, no hierarchy. We will pay them $70,000 over the course of a year just to do whatever they want to do after they are officially admitted into the ClubAny ecosystem. And then we'll see what happens. Then we let the magic happen. And then every single other $70,000 we continue to make, as soon as we hit that next threshold, we'll invite another person in and we'll continue to support the mission. And hopefully someday those people doing what they love and the byproducts of doing what they love to do will generate enough revenue for ClubAny to ultimately become self-sustaining, as well as exactly what True and I are doing right now, where we're doing stuff that we love to do. And the byproduct of this is what you're watching and listening to right now. And if this generates revenue, we're just going to donate it to other people so they can do exactly what we're doing right now, which is just having a good time, enjoying what you like to do, and beavering on purpose, right? You know, that's the mission of ClubAny, and that's what we're hoping to accomplish here. That's why I'm excited for the people to take the journey with us. This is an incredible journey, honestly.
It's a definitely fun journey. And like you said before, we didn't have to even try because we are just naturally talking about, hey, I gotta share.
Right.
And I just want a 15-minute share, but then, eventually we got over the 15 minutes. We go to the 18 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And then we go to the hour minute, like the hour. And then now we go into like in an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes. And we have to cut ourselves off because, it's late at night. And so we have to kind of like, hey, we gotta stop early and go to bed. But that's the thing, is, you think about the things that we do. To me, from my perspective, it does not feel like it's work. It never feel like I had to do something. It never feel like I had to create a habit out of it. It just happens. It's like you found something that it makes you feel positive, and that positive continues to draws you back in the next day, the next episode, and on and on. So, a lot of time people say, you have to do something for a long period of time before a habit kicks in. In this thing that we do, you don't need any habits. As long as you take the first bite, right? You are hooked. Take the first bite and you're hooked. You didn't have to force yourself to do anything for any number of days before it started habits, right? This habit is like that. So that's the essence of what we're talking about when we're talking about ClubAny, is you do the things that it fits you so well that you want it more and more and more and more of it. And so people understand the art of running downhill. That's exactly what ClubAny means.
That's exactly right. It's doing stuff that gives you energy versus stuff that takes energy away from you, right? Like it's exactly what you were saying. You look forward to this stuff. I look forward to this stuff. No matter how I can't even tell you how many times, just thinking back over the past, 4-ish years that we've been doing this, that I've shown up to this conversation every night where I'm beat. I mean, there's
yeah, exhausted.
Exhausted. Like, I mean, we've had, craziness, long days, work, kids, whatever, all the crap that we go through on a day-to-day basis. And then you show up to this conversation. And a lot of times the last thing I want to do is to go, have a chat or whatever with anybody. I just want to sit by myself and, stare blankly at a TV and slowly get ready for bed or something like that. But then we get on our nightly meeting, we get on our Zoom chat, we start talking. And then, within 2 seconds, I'm like, my spirits are lifted, my energy levels are higher, and we get
you basically get transported into your own little world, and you basically are in the flow. Are we gonna do other questions like what do you do? What is the audience gonna do? How do they get in contact with Chris or True? Is that something we want to talk about today?
We can do whatever we want to do. This is our journey. So what do we want the audience to do? I don't know. What do you want the audience to do with this?
I think the audience just needs to take it with take it to heart and think about the things that we say. And the thing is, we from you. We are basically what I do is I do this for myself. I'm a selfish person. Everything I do is for myself. And so that's what I want, and I encourage the audience to do, is take what we say and say, well, what is it that I need to do for myself, right? And see if that aligns with you. And if it does align with you, and the reason why, for me anyway, that ClubAny is me is because of the meaningful relationship part. Because what we do here is great, but without the relationship, with the relationship, it only can exponentially multiply.
Oh yeah.
But if the meaningful work, right, it only can go so far. And so the reason why we want to have this is to have more friends, more tribes of community that comes in. And like I said, you and I, like, we can read a book, we can understand to a certain level. Like that's like level 1. And I go and I talk to you about it, right? And you give me a different perspective. Not only that I can reflect on what I say, but also you basically give me reflection what I think and where I stand on a certain thing. Like when I say be with my stand, but then when I talk about it and you kind of go through the discussion, maybe be with my stand wasn't so, fitting. You go from level 1 to level like 5. And so
Right.
that's the thing, is when we go and talk to another person with a different perspective, it a lot more in terms of the multiplications of the insight that we can gather. And so having a community, this is what we want. ClubAny is, one part meaningful work, the other half is meaningful relationship, and having the audiences to have the same sort of thought process, the
Right.
same, I guess, same path that we take together. That's what I want, is to have more people that can have the same mindset as we, and we can talk about the stuff that, because I can't go and soundboard my idea to someone that doesn't understand what people misdam is.
Well, true, but I would say I would throw a caveat into that. This isn't a journey where we feel like one of the core values of ClubAny is we don't know anything, right? So like this whole journey is us what we may stay, statements and comments throughout this whole entire thing, but really we don't know shit. We're not ever pretending to know anything. This
But
isn't
that
about
is true,
being
and it's
right.
also untrue, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you know shit or don't know shit. The only thing that matters is your perspective. Is I can go to the beach, right, and say, this beach is great, or I can say this beach is awful, right? It's your perspective, how you feel and how you live the seconds of your life.
Right.
That's the only thing that matters. That's what I'm saying. It's, for me, it's if I go and let's say I'm Don Quixote, right? Everybody knows who Don Quixote is. He basically pretends, thinks he's a knight, and he fights a windmill. But it doesn't matter. He is living his life. And if he has comrades to fight with him, he's having a blast in his own world. It doesn't
Right.
matter if he's right or is wrong, or if he knows the truth or doesn't know the truth. That's my take on it. That's my take on life. Because as long as I can get the enjoyment, what is the point of life? My philosophy on that is life is to enjoy.
Right.
I mean, why do you do anything?
Right. What's the point if you're not? 1 in 400 trillion odds of being here. Make the most of it. I totally agree with what you're saying. The question of what do we want the audience to do? We don't want the audience to agree with us all the time. That's not the goal with this. The goal of none of this is about being right or wrong. It's just about exploring and learning together and being a part of a community of people that want to explore and learn. It's really about the values that underlie ClubAny that we care about. Those are the people that we want to be around. Not necessarily if you literally agree with all the stuff that we say. It's just, do you agree with the principles behind it?
That's something you want to learn. We have the need to discover and to learn. Okay. You cannot be a human being without those two. You have to learn. You want to learn the things you want to learn. You hate to learn the things you don't want to learn. That's why learning, just because you've been force-fed to learn certain things, you say, I have no interest in learning, right? Let's say you want to play poker, right? You love learning to play poker. You want to play a sport, whatever. You want to learn how to collect collectibles, art, or whatever. You learn them regardless. You want to play Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to learn, right? So to me, that's human being, you have to learn. If you stop learning, you're basically not human being. You're basically gonna disappear, because when you think about your brains, I mean, this is what we said before is, if you had to sit in a white room, like everything's white, and do nothing, right, for 5-10 minutes, you go insane. There is actually a torture method where they put you in a white room, everything's white, even the liquid, like, you want to drink something, everything is white. People go delusional in that room because it defies what the brains needs to do. It has to do something. It has to learn. It has to discover. And that's why when we see something new, we're interested. Like, oh, something happening over there, some event happening. We're glued to certain thing. That's who we are. So we are always learning. The thing is, you have to learn the things that what are you learning that give you joy versus learning, oh, I want to learn about tax code, for example. To me, I use that example a lot because I dreaded doing taxes every single year. I still have to collect all these receipts and do all these, report and statement and all that. That drives me bananas, right? And so for me, they're still learning, but that's quote unquote not learning the definition of ClubAny.
Right. Learning for ClubAny is exploring the stuff that you care about, exploring things that naturally interest you. Monotony collapses time and novelty unfolds it, right? Like we say that's one of the things we say a lot throughout this whole journey as well.
White room with everything white. It's
sounds
like
horrible.
my eye starts to like it gets so white that it becomes black.
I mean, bottom line,
you seen those?
oh, sure, for sure. And bottom line is we have to learn, we have to keep exploring as humans. Like this is a human fundamental thing.
That's the joy of life.
Uh,
You don't learn anything. Your brain doesn't trigger any kind.
Your neurons aren't firing, you're not growing, you're not expanding, you're not enjoying life at that point in time. You're not doing what humans are built to do. And honestly, that's what a lot of this journey is discovering humanity, and not only just ourselves, but humanity in general. And
humanity and mostly yourself, but at the same time, humanity, because humanity has an effect on you.
Exactly. Like learning,
right? Because we learn, for
right.
example, like I said, you and I can push against each other's back and ride up the well together. That's what we're talking about. It's not about like the universe, or let's say talk about Mars, that has no effect on you. You have no interest in it. But if you have some kind of like interest in something, right? Whatever you need to do to get there, then you're going to learn to figure out the information to get the data points you need to find that.
Exactly. Well, you're getting a good taste of what a YOML nightly experience.
Turn to a YOML.
Where it's very meandering, but also, if you hang with us and you stick with it, you'll hopefully get some good nuggets out of it. Here, we'll put a pause on that question. So is there another question? I had one other thing that I know that I wanted to discuss on the intro portion of all this that I totally missed on the front end of
it's
describing.
Okay.
So I mean, I would be remiss if we didn't describe how we know each other in the first place and how this all even came to be. That's a whole episode on its own. And I didn't mention it at the beginning because I don't want this journey to be about that. I want this journey to be about YOML and learning and the adventure that we've been on and the adventure that we're continuing to be on, right? Like, because it's not done yet. We're still, I think I wrote episode
it will be sad.
20, yeah, exactly. Because, well, so this journey started in a lot of pain and hurt and suffering. It started with the death of my daughter, my infant daughter, Emilia. So that was in April of 2022, or sorry, April of 2020. And I met each other in August of 2020 that year. And that's the whole, the us meeting each other, how that even came to be. I wrote a book about all this stuff. Basically, if you want to read all that, you can. But bottom line is this whole journey, the YOML is not just reading a book, having fun, whatever, and sharing this with Trieu. This was a whole nother journey that morphed into this journey that we've been on together now for almost 5 years. And that journey is a pretty special journey because it's been us both exploring our own things that were traumatic for both of us and coming together around it and helping each other to learn and grow, like you said, getting out of the well together with our backs behind back to back, and we're both climbing together with each other. And it's been an incredible journey to do that. But I was be totally remiss if I didn't mention how we even got to September of 2021 when we just decided to start doing this one day. Like that was already well baked. Our relationship had already been well baked in for a year and a half up to that point in time of meeting each other every single night and talking about values and meaningful work and meaningful relationships and ClubAny and what we wanted to do and the core values quest. And we had a crew of other ClubAny members that we had been working with. And then all this stuff just kind of came about. So that was the one thing I wanted to make sure that I touched on in this intro is, Emilia was always the start of all this. And whether it was September 2021 or when she actually, was no longer with us in April of 2020, this was always about Emilia, and it's always been about Emilia. And she's at the core of a lot of this. So this isn't a journey about sadness, though, and it's not a journey about loss. It is a part of it, but it's really more of a journey about growing through that stuff, right? And finding joy in life again and understanding what we're doing as humans and as ourselves and figuring out a way to make every single day the best day possible that we can possibly do. I mean, that's really the at the core and the heart of all this stuff.
Yeah, I think it's definitely correct. She is the root of this journey. Her coming into our life, into this world, basically made us kind of like look back at our lives and see, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? I mean, she's here, has this limited time on earth, and what did she do with it versus what are we doing? And so it makes us reflect on that, and that essentially catapult us into this trajectory of going down this ClubAny path and figuring out, what am I doing? why am I doing what am I doing today versus something that I need to do that is going to give me what gives me joy versus something that I have to do or society tells me that I need to be this and that. And to me, that sparks for her coming to, to earth and also into our lives. And I think that also because when we're talking about, a bunch of businesses stuff when we first started, but with your background of your daughter, that also has influenced me a lot, very significantly, and to kind of also kind of reevaluate what am I doing as well. I did have a semi midlife crisis, not as big as you and not as significant as you, but what you wrote in your story about your daughter made a big impact on me as well. And I think, it's definitely rooted from your daughter.
For sure. I mean, everything that I do in life these days is with her at the core always. So it's a special journey to help other people to take this journey with us, because that means Emilia is touching other people's lives as well for me. And that's a really important thing. Honestly, like, it feels weird to talk about this now, 5 years after we started this, or 4 years after we started this whole journey, because we're looking back on so many things that have happened, and now we're introing this for a podcast.
If we started from the beginning,
I mean, we would have said this is 365 books and 365 reflections, and honestly, it was supposed to be that. That was all that it was supposed to be initially, which, when I say all, that's still a lot, but it was still, that was the original goal. That was the original idea that popped into as YOML kept developing, and we kept having more and more, I kept writing more and more of these reflections. But we're still going. We're at YOML, 494 at this point in time, and there's no end in sight to this stuff. So it's not just 360. This is truly, you might as well call this a lifetime of magical learning, really. And we're sharing it with other people. And it's probably a good time to do this introduction, because we can look back and see, in totality, almost where we're at now, and go, this is, maybe this is a quarter way mark of the marathon or whatever. I don't know. And who knows where we'll be later on down the road. But I can definitely look back as to where we are right now and go, man, this has been pretty incredible. Like, the amount of work and time and effort that has gone into this project is beyond, I can't even fathom it at this point in time. There's nothing that I've worked harder on in my entire life, and it's not work, though, because it's been nothing but fun and pleasurable the entire time. But a ton of writing, a ton of reading, a ton of learning, a ton of conversations, a ton of editing, all this
books.
And to a lot of people, that would be work. It's not. For us, it's fun, it's play. That's what ClubAny is about. That's what meaningful work and meaningful relationships is about. But it's really interesting to be able to put a pin on it right now to say, hey, this is what this journey is about. It's about just learning and growing together and doing the stuff you love to do. And I'm excited to share with everybody, and I'm glad that they're, willing to take this journey with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is all about, ClubAny at the heart. And ClubAny is essentially a product of Emilia.
Yeah. Well, no, she's the core of it, but it's a product of us. But she is the core of,
She's the spark.
Yes, she is the catalyst, right?
Because the reason why I said that is because I really believe that without Emilia coming into your life in that way, you would have been this hard ass, rise, grind, repeat guy, hustle and bustle, and just be that guy versus step back, say, okay, I need to look back at my life. What am I doing? I'm going to be this Salesforce guy and be the VP or CMO and eventually be CEO of something that you don't care about. Versus today, you throw all that away, right? And you open IPC, for example. That to me is without your daughter, you would never have changed your.
For sure. These are many topics we've explored in YOML.
We don't really have a set guide for any of these things.
None of this is a set guide. None of, like, if there's one thing that you should love about YOML, it's incredibly authentic, and we're not trying to impress anybody. We are literally just enjoying this for ourselves, and this isn't highly edited.
And to me, this is exactly how I like my life. Is when I want to do something, I do it. And when I want to say something, I want to say it, right? Versus, oh, I must say this first, I must say this second, I must say this third. Even if it gives you a structure, it's still like, oh, it's been imposed on you. And to me, it violates my freedom and life like that, And I think that is, to me, the essence of how to enjoy life is to do whatever it is you want to do, whenever you want to do, with whoever you want to do it with.
That's exactly right. I think that's a great spot to end it on. Do what you want to do with who you want to do it with and how you want to do it. So we'll put a pin on this. I hope you guys enjoy this journey. We're really excited to share it with you, and feel free to reach out to us if you ever have any questions. We're always open. And honestly, help us to grow the ClubAny mission by listening to all these and sharing them. Because if you do, we're going to give away $70,000 to somebody if we can ever generate that much revenue off of the content that we're producing.
As revenue can bring in, we will give as many scholarship as we are able to.
Absolutely. I mean, if we generated $20 billion off of this, we would just be giving away
Maybe a lot of ClubAny members.
A whole lot of ClubAny members, you know. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks for joining, and thanks for taking the journey.
We will see you next time.
Yeah.
See ya.